Hello, Curious! In recent years, there have been more and more calls from people of color and ethnic minority groups for more inclusivity when it came to creating and casting characters from ethnic groups for movies and TV shows. And slowly but surely, the change is coming. This is also the reason why movies such as Black Panther and The Princess and the Frog have become so successful, because now, children growing up can see a likeness between themselves and the character on screen. And once again, it is Disney taking a step in the right direction by giving the role of a character who was always depicted as being white to a woman of color. Now, Yara Shahidi will be joining the cast of Disney's live-action remake of Peter Pan, where she will star as the fairy with some sass, Tinkerbell. But who exactly is the young actress? Where would fans have seen her before? And how did people react to the news? And what other iconic roles that have previously been depicted as white have recently been given to people of color? Stay with me to find out, but before we continue, don't forget to hit the bell and subscription button to not miss any of our future videos. Yara Shahidi was born on February 10th of 2000 in Minneapolis to Carrie Salter Shahidi and Afshin Shahidi. She has Iranian roots from her father and African American ones from her mother. The young actress comes from a family that is well acquainted with the entertainment industry. Her dad was famous for being Prince's photographer, and while her mother appeared in American Dad and in The Motherhood, her brothers have also ventured into the world of acting, appearing in productions such as The People vs. O.J. Simpson, An American Crime Story, Switched at Birth, and Uncle Buck. Not to mention, she is also related to American rapper Nas, as he is her first cousin. You can imagine that she probably had all the support and help that she could have needed. The young star began her career at the age of 6 when she began appearing in television commercials and print advertisements for companies such as McDonald's, Ralph Lauren, Disney, and the Gap Kids. Her first acting debut came in 2009 when she starred in the movie Imagine That, where she played alongside Eddie Murphy. The role gained her a Young Artist Award nomination for the Best Performance in a Feature Film category. However, her most notable role is that of Zoe Johnson in the critically acclaimed ABC sitcom titled Blackish, in which the story follows an upper-class African-American family. In December of 2014, she won an NAACP Image Award in the category of Best Supporting Actress in a Comedy. The success of the series then led to a spin-off show, Grownish, which starred Shahidi's character and followed her journey to college. The young star is also known due to her activism for feminism and STEM awareness, a passion that she developed quite early thanks to her paternal grandfather, who was once associated with the socialite political organization of the Black Panthers back in their heydays. Her parents had also exposed her to other movements such as women's empowerment and immigration issues quite early on in her life. Speaking with 17 magazine about her activism, she said, "Our generation is a representation of all great movements that have come before us. It's all about paying it forward. What I'm seeing is basically a movement to be true to yourself. There are no criteria as to what it takes to be involved, protected, and cared for." In 2017, she was also given the opportunity by Teen Vogue to carry out an interview with Hillary Clinton, and when speaking of the chance to do this, she said that she had just been given the opportunity to talk to someone as iconic as Secretary Clinton was unreal. Yara is also the co-founder of 18 by 18, which is an apolitical organization that encourages young people to go out and vote. All the work she puts into these causes seemed to have paid off for the young woman, as she was quickly noticed by former First Lady Michelle Obama, who wrote a letter of recommendation for her to Harvard University, where since 2018, Shahidi studies a double major in the subjects of interdisciplinary sociology and African American studies. Despite being busy with university work, she still found some time to focus on her career as an actress. Most recently, Yara has joined the cast of Disney's live-action remake of Peter Pan, where she will play the role of Tinkerbell. In the movie, Shahidi will be joined by Jude Law, who is set to play Captain Hook. Throughout the years, there have been many adaptations of the story about the boy who wouldn't grow up, such as Disney's famous 1953 animated version, as well as the 2003 film that starred Jeremy Sumpter as the titular role, and Jason Isaacs as Hook. Despite all these previous versions, Shahidi will be the first black woman to take on the role. How did the fans react to the news? With much positivity. Most young people online were happy to praise the studio for this inclusivity. There were of course some naysayers that they can't be avoided, but for the most part, the news was positively received, and at the moment, not much is known about the project. We can only guess as to whether this film's version of Tink will talk, or it will be like the original where the role will be played solely by attitude. This choice follows Disney's recent attempts to diversify its casting choices. Another somewhat controversial decision was one where they made the choice to cast Yara's grownish co-star Halle Bailey as Ariel in the upcoming live-action remake of The Little Mermaid. The movie's director, Rob Marshall, said that Bailey was chosen for the role after an extensive search, and that she possesses that rare combination of spirit, heart, youth, innocence, and substance that make her perfect for the part. Despite this extensive search and praise from celebrities such as Mariah Carey and Halle Berry, many people were not very happy with the casting choice and took to social media to express their outrage, as according to them, it was a deviation from the character's original image. Though it is interesting to see whether their prospect happened because they didn't like Halle or because they wanted Zendaya to play the role. Most tweets were accompanied by hashtags such as "Not My Ariel" or "Not My Mermaid." As similar to some of the negative reactions for Tinkerbell, the most common one was "Stop taking white characters and casting people of color in those roles." Some examples that were given were, "What if they had cast a white person as Mulan?" Well, the difference here is being that Mulan is an actual piece of work that comes from China and the character historically hails from that country, whereas Ariel and Tinkerbell are fictitious characters where one is a mermaid and the other is a fairy. When the Ariel backlash was going strong last year, Freeform, a Disney-owned TV network, released an open letter to the Poor Unfortunate Souls, a play on one of the songs from the movie, where they pointed out that Ariel is a fictional character that lives in international waters and is free to swim wherever she wants. They also pointed out that despite the original character being Danish, there are black Danish people. At the moment, there is no date set for Little Mermaid movie, but as reportedly, Disney has 3 live-action movies scheduled for 2021, one in March, July, and October, and another in the 4th of October for 2022. And with the production having been halted due to the global pandemic, we all just need to be patient. When it comes to Marvel, they also have had their fair share of backlash for casting choices, one of the most famous ones being the casting of biracial actress Zendaya as MJ in Spider-Man Homecoming movie back in 2016. Many criticized the fact that she does not resemble Mary Jane from the comics, or even the previous movie adaptation where she was played by Kristen Dunst. However, while they were too busy tweeting hate at the actress, they failed to realize that her character's name was actually Michelle Jones, and only towards the end of the movie does she actually reveal that her friend calls her MJ for short. Another time the company came under fire was when they cast Michael B. Jordan as Johnny Storm in the reboot of Fantastic Four. In the previous adaptation of the movie, he was portrayed by Chris Evans, and many fans weren't happy with the decision and were quick to point out that even in the comics, the Human Torch is shown to have blonde hair and blue eyes. The actor in question decided to speak out about which the issue, and he wrote in an essay and posted on Entertainment Weekly in which he urged people to catch up with the reality of the real world and embrace the diversity in Hollywood. Addressing the naysayers, he said, "I can see everybody's perspective, and I know I can't ask the audience to forget 50 years of comic books, but the world is a little more diverse in 2015 than when the Fantastic Four comic first came out in 1961, which in all fairness could be used as an argument for most of these cases." And of course, we cannot forget how back in 2009 it was Idris Elba's turn to come under fire. Though it wouldn't be his first time, because while many fans want him to portray the role of 007, quite a lot of them are against it. And it was the same with the case of the character in Thor franchise, and as the examples mentioned previously, the reason is the color of his skin. When it was announced that he would be playing Heimdall in Kenneth Branagh's film about the God of Thunder, many were outraged, claiming that they were originally Norse gods, so it would be impossible for the character to be black. Well, if we're speaking about Norse mythology, Loki also gave birth to an 8-legged horse, so I'm sure many will agree that it's best to take things with a pinch of salt. But when it comes to casting people of color in the roles that are predominantly white, the outrage isn't only limited to big Hollywood productions. When the producers of the hit theater production of the Harry Potter and the Cursed Child announced that the actress who would play Hermione Granger would be a black actress, Noma Dumezweni, people went crazy, and not necessarily in a good way. While many saw no problem with this, others were quick to call out Hermione as white. Seeing all of this, Rowling herself quoted a tweet, which has since been deleted, and said, "Canon, brown eyes, frizzy hair, and very clever. White skin was never specified. Rowling loves black Hermione." Now, you can't really argue with that, can you? But this isn't limited to just people of color playing roles that were predominantly depicted as white. It works both ways. One of the main examples of this includes the decision to cast Angelina Jolie as Marianne Pearl in the movie A Mighty Heart. Now, for those of you who might not have seen the movie or know anything about the real-life Marianne, she is a French-born, brown-skinned, kinky curly-haired woman of Afro, Cuban, and Dutch heritage. And according to the Seattle Times, Pearl herself replied to their email about the casting choice and said that for her it wasn't an issue, and she chose Angie for the person that she is and not for what she looks like. Though this wouldn't be the first time that Hollywood was somewhat colorblind when it came to their casting choices. Since we already mentioned the new Peter Pan movie, it is worth mentioning the 2015 film Pan, in which Rooney Mara played the role of Tiger Lily, who is and has always been a Native American. Many were quick to call out the whitewashing of the character and called for everyone to boycott the movie. And according to Variety, Warner Brothers said that the movie they wanted to create was a world of multiracial and international and a very different character than previously imagined. Well, seeing the reaction that the casting choice got, they didn't really succeed. There are many mishaps like that in Hollywood, though I won't go as far as talking about the early days of the industry, cause other notable casting choices that outraged audiences included Benedict Cumberbatch as Khan Noonien Singh in Star Trek Into the Darkness, Jake Gyllenhaal as the Prince of Persia in the movie of the same title, Scarlett Johansson as Matoka Kusangi in The Ghost in the Shell, as well as pretty much the entire cast of Exodus, Gods and Kings. But hey, at least Night at the Museum did it right. So curious, what are your thoughts about Yara Shahidi as Tinkerbell? Have you seen her in anything before? Are people's protests at the color of her skin taking the predominantly white roles justified? Or should everyone just move with the times? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to like and share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.